What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Messi and Co. I am Ashley with my amazing co-host Gian. We doing this episode earlier in the week than we expected to, but we both got to catch some of the game today. It was during our lunch periods, and so we got to we wanted to give our instant reaction because I think it was obviously the most exciting preseason match so far. It had a lot more energy, a lot more obviously performances and interest and goals and just tactics that I think we can discuss it because it's popular right now, it's trending, etc. And so we wanted to kind of give our 2 cents on knowing it's preseason, knowing this is just starting, a lot of new players kind of getting into the fold, and just giving our initial reactions and what maybe we expect to see moving forward. But before we do that, Gianna, how are you? How was your Monday?
Monday's good. Monday's off to a good start. Happy we got to get some preseason soccer today, and there was a lot of things that stood out in today's game. A lot of things dealing with personnel, with strategies, formation, coaching decisions, and results that I think is, as we're starting this early preseason part, we're almost to the midway point. I think we're already starting to see some things. I've started to see some things, and I'm happy that we're here, ready to talk about it.
Yeah, things we maybe don't like, maybe a couple things we do like that we're happy about. There's positive and negatives for both. And thank God we scored 3 goals at least.
Yeah.
We were getting onto a while where we weren't scoring. If this had ended in the first half and we did this, I think we'd be singing a very different tune than we had now that we got the full game. Maybe what we can do to start with is kind of say maybe a highlight player and a low light player before we get into even the tactics and the overall, etc. And I'll go first. I will say my highlight and my low light, and then you say yours, and we can
of course.
discuss it. Because I want to get it off my chest before I forget. And I feel like you may even have the same highlight as me. It's Ruiz. It's Ruiz. He's been fantastic and so young. Makes a couple mistakes here and there, but you can see he's playing the right way. You can tell because how much Messi and Alba and all of them are so happy for him when he scores, and I know he's making the right plays consistently through the game. He's doing the right aggression. He's putting himself in the right positions, and I think he's just turned 20, right? Or he's around that area. Like he's so young, and so I've been really happy with his performance. Obviously, it was probably, him and Kramaski were probably going for the same maybe minutes or same time, same et cetera. And so he's hopefully will continue to seize his opportunity to get that position for now, at least locked up. But I was really happy with his performance. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. As far as a highlight of the game or one of the players that definitely distinguished himself from amongst the others, it's got to be Ruiz. 100%. I agree with you. I think that early on in the first half, he was kind of being more aggressive on offense, and he was making plays. There was that first one that was very similar to the actual goal that he scored, where he was kind of on the edge of the box, and he feinted. He did a couple of feints and then cut in, and I saw that, and I was like, wow, I hadn't really seen too much of him really doing that before or last season. So that was kind of like a breath of fresh air for it to be able to see that side of his game. So I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. I didn't know he had that in him. And he also did that with a lot of confidence, especially at his young age.
A lot of confidence.
There might be players where like they don't have the confidence.
With those other players that you're playing with,
Of course, you're playing with Messi, you're playing with Suarez. Like a lot of times, especially at a young age, you kind of will defer to them and you won't be as aggressive. Even though maybe you may have the skill set to do so, you kind of like you don't want to step on toes and that sort of thing. So to see him kind of show that skill set, have the confidence to actually do that, and then be very aggressive in making that play to take the defender and give himself space, and then looking right at goal. I think that was something refreshing. And right in that moment, I was like, wow, I like this. So when he went ahead and scored in that second time, I was like, awesome. This wasn't just a once.
Too. I mean, a great shot. Like
beautiful goal. Yeah.
Really well hit. Yeah.
The fact that he did that was cemented, at least in me, this wasn't a one-time thing. Like, hopefully it looks like this is him moving forward, and it just shows a different like aspect of his game, something that we need. Because I'll be honest with you, we'll talk more about this as we move forward, more like tactics and other things that we saw. But I think we can all agree that offense is something that we're kind of lacking. And obviously, this was the first 2 games of the preseason we didn't score. So to see this offense is really good, especially with a guy like Farias going down.
100%. Yeah, agreed. I think agreed. And you can, I think sometimes like your eyes don't deceive you. Like when watching it, even if you're not an analyst or an expert, you could see he was making a positive impact in the game. He was always running. And that reaction from his teammates for that goal, that's a reaction, like that's an immediate reaction of people who like are happy with how you're playing and want to see you succeed. I really believe that. Like the genuine joy from Messi and Alba shows me that he's working hard during sessions. He's learning. You saw when they were both out of the game, him and Suarez were talking to each other and Suarez was giving him pointers. You could see that too. So yeah, definitely a highlight. I hope we continue to see that out of Ruiz. Sticking with the midfield though, I'll give my low light and my sort of disappointment thus far. And again, only 3 games in, there's so much to learn, so much to do, so much changes, so much tinkering.
Sounds like a Backstreet Boys song. I thought you were singing that.
It does sound like that, but I really have not been impressed with Julian Gressel, and it's surprising me a lot because watching him in the past and everything, I think he is a very good player. He's a 2-time MLS champion. He's great, and he seems like 5 steps behind everyone else, and like blatantly so. It just seems that he's not making the right passes, he's not making the right decision, he's not taking up the right spaces, he's intruding on Messi's spaces that he is going to take, and you have to learn pretty damn quick that Messi gets the spaces and you go around him. And I just, and so I'm nervous. Again, it's only 2 games in, there's a lot to figure out, but I already can tell you that I would like to see Thursday or just in general, maybe Gregory getting that start instead of Gressel. I mean, Gressel for Columbus, I think for a good portion of the season, he came off the bench. He came in like the 60th minute every game or something like that and made a huge impact. And so, could he be a starter for us? Maybe. It's only the beginning, but I felt that everyone else was starting to gel at a very high level. And granted, he's new to the team, but even with Suarez, like everyone seemed to be gelling. Even Yedlin, who I don't think is great offensively, and he just seemed to be a couple steps back and just like giving up on his making a bad decision and then giving up on it. And I don't know, it's initial reactions, but I've been disappointed in his play. And I think if he was even 15% better, not even 100%, if he's 15% better today, for example, I think we would have won.
Yeah.
Like, I think we were especially in the second half, we were controlling the game by a lot. And a lot of opportunities that were goal scoring or finishing opportunities, he was making the wrong decision.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that assessment. I would just point out that if anybody in our defense was 15% better, we would have won that game.
It's true. but I'm just saying, like, it was a blatant notice for me. Like, we know the defense is not. We nothing's changed with that defense yet, where we would expect it to be anything.
I think it's because you had hope that Gressel
I have very high expectations. I still do. Yeah, like he could still, he's certainly. It's only the 3rd game and it's all preseason, so he certainly can still do a great job. But I noticed how good Ruiz was. I noticed how bad he was.
No, I agree with that assessment. That's actually exactly for me was kind of like who maybe struggled a bit in that game that I can focus on, because again, everybody struggled. I can't point this loss on any one player. It was across the board. But one of the things that I did notice was definitely Gressel. I think that he was he was not precise in his passing, and that really kind of affected it really kind of slowed down a lot of the flow of the game. There were opportunities that he had to filter
many counters
on counters to filter balls. He had pass that if he would have made the right passes, there were probably goal scoring opportunities. So he was not precise with his passes, and there were times where he would be a step slow on a pass. So like he eventually made the pass, but if he would have made it a second sooner, then it would have opened up another opportunity. So I don't know if to be worried, to your point about this. We're 3 games in. He is on a new team. He's trying to get to know how Inter Miami plays. And we were typing during the game or writing to each other during the game. And one of the things I had mentioned to you is I don't even think
he knows where to be. Right.
He's trying to figure out his place in this team, and he's trying to figure out how this team plays. But at the same time, the actual team doesn't know how they play. That's what at least that's what I feel. I feel like 3 games in, players that have been here since last season are still trying to figure out what the heck we're doing this season. Like, because Tata is doing a lot of things that he didn't do last season. He's using personnel in different spots. He's using different strategies, different formations. And players are trying to figure that out. So that just kind of compounds and becomes even more difficult for a player like Gressel that's coming into this new. Like, he doesn't know anybody on this team. So I think that's kind of like what. But there's also stuff that has nothing to do with that, obviously, like the precise passes and that sort of thing. But I'm just going to chalk that off to maybe rustiness and
getting acclimated to the system and the personnel. No, it's 100%. And with Suarez, it's like you can't even say. Yeah, it's Suarez's first 2, but Suarez has played years and years with the other 3 players. So it's like, riding a bike again. He is truly brand new, has never played with anyone on this team, being thrust into intense, difficult circumstances. And I mean, against an Al-Hilal team who in the first half were acting like this is like the freaking World Cup final. When
I saw them celebrate that first goal, I knew that they were taking this
really
very serious because that celebration.
I think it's better to take it because when sometimes when teams or players don't take things seriously, that's how injuries can honestly happen. Is when some people are going 8, some people are going 4, some people are going 10. Like the fact that they were all on the same page and just playing their game, I respect because I think that's like how it probably should be. But yeah,
for us too, like we want to be entertained. Like, I mean, for me, when I saw that, I was like, they're going to take this serious, and I think it'll be a funner game. You don't want this to be like a NBA All-Star game, where it's a snooze fest. Just the fact that people are competing, and when I saw the way they celebrated that first goal, and then they were celebrating each consecutive goal, like it was a Champions League game. I knew. I don't know if you knew if this kind of thought came across to your mind, but when I saw that, I was like, I don't think Messi's coming out at minute 60.
No, I thought the same thing. I thought
especially when the game got good, I was like, Messi wants to win this.
He came off at 83, and then it led to the goal right after. But no, I thought at halftime, and especially when we got that second goal, I was like, oh, girl, he ain't going anywhere. He is not going anywhere. Yeah, I thought the exact same thing. But so that's my initial thoughts on Gressel. Disappointed, but to give him the benefit of the doubt, and because I do have very high expectations and I think he is great, I think it should start to gel. His place will start to gel. Everyone will get used to it. And so we'll see. But this was just my, something I noticed. I'll say what my second thing I noticed, and I could have given this as my answer, but I wanted to give something different because, we obviously have seen this back line. We've seen all of them play many times before. And I wish Austin was here for this moment to say that Christoph cannot be anywhere near that starting 11. And I mean, look, credit to him as the game went on and, he hurt his head and everything. He certainly gives his all, and he does a good job. Like, when it's clearing balls in the box and et cetera, like 100%. That's, I take nothing against him. And I think that there's certainly time and effort in places for him. He can't be part of the starting 11. He is so much slower than everyone else. And he's like, he can't do the high line. He can't play from the back because I saw 3 times in the first half, we were playing out of the back. We made it first out of that first threshold of press. It goes to Alba, let's say. And then Alba gives it back to him to switch it to the other side where he had a ton of space, and he wouldn't do it. And he took like 3 extra touches. He was waiting. He had slow passes. And while I don't, obviously I don't think we love the current formation and setup, there was clearly opportunities to play out from the back and making those counterattacks that were set up to succeed. Like they were set up for the game plan to succeed, and it was execution where he just slowed everything down and he was getting beat on the overballs. Like it was bad, man. I was
Did
like,
we have
oh,
did we have a single long ball from the defense? No, right? The
that was
entire game?
successful. I don't think so. Like a
No,
couple of
or no,
that.
or even attempted. Did we have any
I
even
think Kristoff
attempted?
had one. I think Alba had one, but nothing good. It was nothing good.
But
And I mean, what did I?
you know who used to do that for us?
Kamal Miller.
Kamal Miller.
But look, we have
Kamal,
the new center back starting, and I just, but that was just I wrote it. What did I text you in like the 4th minute before any goals even happened? Before any goals even happened, I said, "Oh no, we're in trouble with Kristoff." You could tell he was really.
You know what compounds on that issue though? Because okay, I agree with you that Kristoff is not he's not a starting center back. He's a guy that is a vet, and you have him on, and he can come in maybe to close the game out, or
if there's an injury
or something like that. He's not a starter.
5 and do a low block because you're winning, like totally.
But what compounds on that issue of Kristoff and him not being, I guess, up to par as a starting center back is the fact that it's who you're surrounding him with.
Yeah.
You're not surrounding him with guys that are going to pick up the slack for him, because other than okay, our best center back is Aviles. And for me, in my opinion, Aviles is like, man, he is excellent. He doesn't stop running. He is great at pressuring the ball. He's great at timing his tackles. Like, he does great. Then you have Kristoff, again, is not a starting center back. But who do you have next to Kristoff? You have Noah Allen. I like Noah Allen a lot, but Noah Allen to me is not a center back. Yeah. It doesn't matter if he's played center back position before. Just because you filled in a position doesn't mean that is where you excel at, and that's your, like, he's a professional. And when he was called upon last season to fill that role for center back at times because of injuries and other situations, he was a professional. He did his job and he held his ground, but he is not a starting center back. He is a left back or left wing back, whatever you want to call it. But he's not obviously going to get a starting role because he's behind Alba. Yeah. But that, to me, like, you're putting Kristoff in a position where he's not a starter to begin with, and then on top of that, you're not picking up the slack for him. So I think that also made things worse for him, in my opinion.
If we moved to a back 4 and there was center backs available, I would tune Noah Allen over Kristoff. Like, I know that sounds crazy, even in a back 4. But Kristoff is so static when it clearly, like, to play out from the back, you have to be so dynamic and fast that every goal opportunity that Al-Hilal had was because we screwed up playing from the back. Like, every single time it was bad decisions in the midfield, and then they had to break away. Like, I would rather have a more confident back 4 who are, even if one of them isn't tall enough, who are playing from the back and who are being strategic and who can make stops in the box. Like, I really would.
How poorly does Tata think of, like, how little does he think of Sailor and McVay?
I don't know, because I know for a fact,
like, he must have zero confidence in them.
Sailor, I don't know as much because we haven't seen, but like, McVay can play out of the back. McVay can make good passes. Like, McVay could be in a back 5. I've seen him do it time and time again. He's very dynamic. Like, he's fast. He's young. Like, I've seen McVay do it. I don't think he's as consistent as other starting center backs we've had, but especially in the first 2 seasons of Inter Miami, or maybe the second and third, I'm trying to picture it. He was he was there. He was consistent. Remember that amazing goal he got in the 95th minute a couple years ago? That was like a roofer. That was a great goal. But yeah, so I mean, agreed with you that if not Noah Allen, I mean, Sailor, who was picked in the first round last year or the year before, that's
what I don't understand.
Like, can you remember a game he's played in where he was like so bad?
No, I don't. That's why I just wonder. There's something that sees where he's like, I would rather go with someone like Kristoff that is slower and on the other, like, the wrong side of 30 for my starting center back, and a young kid isn't a center back over 2 guys that
Yeah.
should probably be said. Like there's something
It
there,
really doesn't
and
make
I don't know what
Taylor
it is.
really doesn't make sense. McVay, I know, I feel like they've talked about trading
Yeah.
him or getting rid of him or like he's come in and out of it, but Sailor really doesn't make
So
any sense
like
to me.
if Freire comes in, right, and he starts, obviously it's him and Aviles. I mean, do we still need a back five?
I think Tata
like
doesn't have, and maybe rightfully so. I don't know, because I mean, based on what we've seen so far, I really don't think he has faith in the offense right now, and I think he just doesn't, and he doesn't want it to be a 4-3-3, which doesn't really make sense to us. But he's seeing something that we don't see because he is.
But we're ultra defensive right now, like ultra defensive, and the worst part about it is we're ultra defensive, but we don't have the personnel to be ultra defensive. Like, if you're ultra defensive, that means that you're like Inter Milan, and you're gonna wait to be attacked. So you're gonna wait to be attacked, and you're not afraid because you have a lot of confidence that your defense is gonna get the stop, and you're going to, as soon as you get that stop, you're gonna counterattack and you're gonna score. But you can't play that if you're not confident in your defense. And to me, it's so clear that he is not confident in his defense. And the reason it's clear to me is because he's playing a back five. Because
Totally. No, I agree.
Because
he doesn't have
best
faith
we
in
were
his
4-3-3 was the best.
Offense, which is crazy.
No, yeah. So, like, I don't know. And up front, you know, I don't know if there was anything else that you wanted to say about the defense, but just as much as we're struggling on the defensive side, we're struggling on the offense. Like, I'm so happy that we finally got some goals on the board, because I'm hoping that kind of like opens the floodgates for us. And because sometimes like that first goal, especially when they talk about like a forward, you know, like he's struggling, he needs that first goal. I feel like that's also the same that was good for Suarez, but that's also good for the team. We got our first goal. We got 3 goals on the board against a good team, or top performing team in Saudi Arabia in their league. So I think that's good as far as for their confidence and that sort of thing. But we hadn't scored in the first 2 games, and to me, it's very clear. Even though we scored 3 goals, one was a penalty, one was I think it was Gressel that kicked it and it was deflected by a defender. That Suarez ended up kind of like tapping in or scoring at the end, but that wasn't a great play by the offense or something that was built up to the offense. And then you had that one beautiful goal from Ruiz. So like seeing those 3 goals to me is like good. I hope that builds confidence. I hope that opens the floodgates for us, that opens the net for us. But to me, the offense was not good. I don't know how you feel about the offense. To me, it wasn't good.
Agree. I mean, their timing is bad. Like, I mean, there's the amount of offsides we're getting called is crazy. I mean, it's bad timing. And I mean, and that you take time to figure out. Like Messi, you know, missed like 2 timed passes, which he will not do. Like, you know, that is, I'm not worried about moving forward, you know, like he'll be just fine and he's getting used to it. But everyone else, like, I mean, it comes back down to Gressel. Like Gressel had 2 or 3 where they did a great counterattack where it was like a 4-2 even. And he didn't make the right pass. He waited too long. He either went for a shot that was deflected or a pass that was deflected or a pass where the defense had caught up. Like it was, I'm telling you, I don't like the back 5 either. I don't like the structure, and it's not nearly as fun, and it's really not our strengths. But, you know, there was the attack, like the game plan with that specific type of actions was right in terms of like the way Tata set it up and how they were doing it with those specific like results. It was working. Like we had a couple great counterattack opportunities where we were set up completely correct, but it was either missed timing where we went off sides and we didn't hold our lines, or it was the bad pass in the final third, because it was the setup tactically, like it wasn't fun. And I don't think it was maybe making the most of our players. And I hope it changes, but it was working. It really was. And it just, especially in the second half, it was working and we just didn't take the opportunities.
But this team actually has the personnel to be a team that plays with possession and that builds. That's what this team, I mean, you're investing so much money in a player like Alba. in a player like Busquets, obviously in Messi, in Suarez, you've got
Busquets had a
players.
good game.
Yeah, you've got players like Kremaski, unfortunately injured. You got players like David Ruiz. You got
Yeah.
players like Gressel. You got players like Gregory. This is a team that can play and would excel with possession, and it's like I see
don't
this,
get it either.
and to me, it's you're okay. Maybe you can find some success like in different schemes and strategies. Okay, you want to play the counter, okay, but don't give away or don't not use, I think, your biggest gift, which is you've got players that can build on possession and play make. So for me, it's difficult to see that. Like I see, for example, up front, you've got Suarez. Suarez is a player, especially now at his age, that he'll be the guy that will put in the finishing touch for you, but you got to get the ball to him in the right spot. He's not going to be running everywhere, even though I will say an applause to him because he was working his butt off today, and
he's running too much. He shouldn't be working his butt off that much. It's not good.
Yeah, he needs a playmaker, someone to put the ball for him so that he can shoot. Because if he gets a good ball, he's going to score. But who is the guy? Who's the person that's going to put that ball for him? It's Messi, at least. But where's Messi playing? Messi's playing as another forward.
Yeah, and not in a position where he likes to be.
Yeah, and then Messi comes back to the mid. A lot of these plays that we had was Messi going into the midfield, grabbing the ball. Yeah. And then what happens? Suarez is the lone forward up there. He's got the defense all around him. The defense doesn't have to worry about anybody else. Nobody else in the middle of the field. Nobody else is a threat. And then who's your other quote unquote attackers? You've got Alba and Yedlin on the right. They're not They're defenders that are used very well in offense to build plays, but you're not going to give them the ball and then expect them to do something like David Ruiz, or expect them to do something that Farias would have done, or expect them to do something that Robert Taylor can do, that can create their own space.
Why isn't Robert Taylor started?
Exactly. I don't understand that. I do not know why Robert Taylor's not starting. You know why? Actually, you know why Robert Taylor's not starting? Robert Taylor's not starting because they're playing 5-3-2. That's why Robert Taylor's not starting. Because there's no room for him in a 5-3-2. You've got Messi and Suarez up top.
No, I know. I just don't know why.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why either. So
I think maybe it's a center. I really do think it's a center back issue. And I think, and I have to imagine that when Freya is available and ready and at full speed, it's going to be a back four. I have to imagine, if not, to play a back five when you have Messi and Suarez is crazy. I have to imagine it's because of personnel reasons, and it's fitness reasons. Maybe it's really just it's a strategic play to build up to the season, build up your personnel, build up your legs, build up everything. Because I think, sometimes you'd rather everyone be solid defensively and then you switch to attacking and you start playing attacking more. It's harder to go in reverse where you're from day one so forward and everything like that, and then it bites you in the butt. Maybe that's it. I agree with you. I don't like it, and it's obviously not what I would like to see moving forward, but I would still like to see everyone performing well at what they're being asked to do, which they should. If Yedlin, if Gressel, if Christoph, like I said, we're 15% better. I mean, Yedlin actually really wasn't bad. I can't give it to him. Or Noah Allen, was 15% better. Not even 50, not even 100, not even 80. It would have been, I think, wildly different. I think it was that much of seeing missed opportunities with some simple, logistical, precise ball where you're supposed to be running at that level. You're supposed to make the pass. Where the player is going to be. You're playing. You're countering with numbers. I still would have liked to see better out of that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that we're still, one of the things when I first saw that 5-3-2, and obviously we've talked about this even from last season, I'm probably one of the super not a fan of that
You're
back five.
5 hater for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So, but when I saw that, it came to me, I thought that literally the same thing that you just brought up was, he's got to be doing this because he doesn't trust that defense, and he doesn't have a center back. Once we get a center back, we'll probably see that back line of 4. And yeah, that center back in this case, Freire hasn't started yet, but we're in game 3 and we're still with that back line of 5. So I know there's still time. So I'm not panicking. I think what we're doing here is just kind of it's good. It's good to talk about the things that you've observed, the holes that we find in this team.
Can I say conspiracy theory, like tinfoil hat? Maybe because there's so many competitions, everything, he literally doesn't want to show anyone any game film. Like that's tin hat conspiracy, but like these games mean nothing. They mean nothing to Inter Miami in terms of we're in 4 competitions this year, all which are very important, with the least important being the like Open Cup or the FA. What is our version of that? The Open Cup,
the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah, would those be? We're in the Champions League, we're in the MLS season. Like, there's so many things that are so important. Like, what if he literally is just saying, "I don't want to give people," because we're doing more of a preseason and more of a worldwide thing than anyone else.
Well, I would say that would be like super like crazy
Paranoid,
like, possibly. But I would say what I would say to that is I would think it'd be unlikely, simply because you don't want to be like the first game of the season is the first time you try a new formation, unless they're having like super secret.
I've seen it in the NBA though. I've seen it in the NBA where you think you know what you're going to get and they play, and then suddenly, like when a playoff series starts or when it's big games,
I think that's easier with 5 players though than like I think that's easier with 5 players than like 11. That would be the only thing I would say. But I think that it's early on where, again, that we can kind of pinpoint some of the holes we're seeing early on in the preseason, and then just not overreact or panic, just knowing that there's still games to correct these things, and hoping that, for example, for me, going back to the previous point, is seeing these formations that I think don't work and saying, hey, I hope, and I think it might be personnel wise, but let's see once Freire comes in and gets into that center back, if he's still doing that back line of 5 with Freire in game 5 of the preseason, then it's probably going to be a back line of 5, and then I'm panicking personally, because I do not want to witness that an entire season.
Entire season of it, yeah. No, it's true. I think it's all good points, and like the reason we did this episode was not because we wanted to overreact or anything, but just react, give our thoughts, give our opinion. It was a much more exciting game than the first 2. We saw some good things that we hadn't seen the first 2 games, but then we saw a lot of things that were either regressions or just like glaringly not working. And so I think I'm glad we talked about it. Thursday will be a fun game. Hopefully Ronaldo plays, and hopefully it's we get one more Messi versus Ronaldo. Hopefully we see some new personnel. And
what I want to see in these games, and especially like with the next one against Ronaldo, I think is I don't really care about the results.
I don't care at all,
especially in preseason. Exactly. I think that's what we need to look forward to as fans and followers of this team, is just to see these guys gel and see that they understand each other, see that they're playing off each other, seeing that each individual is playing well. And I think that's when it's going to be like, if we lose, but I saw Gressel making good passes, I saw Messi feeding Suarez, I saw Alba making good runs, I saw, I don't know, Toto defending well, and Kristoff, then I'm going to be like, okay, who cares? Who cares about the results? So I think that as we move forward.
You're talking about practice?
Yeah, you're talking about.
I don't know if people internationally will get that reference as much, but look up Allen Iverson practice. Look up Allen Iverson practice YouTube. And tell me.
Exactly. This is really a practice. You're talking about the the Al-Hilal Cup or whatever?
You're talking about the Riyadh Cup.
The Riyadh Cup, But I think that's what's most important as fans. That's what we need to look forward to and kind of observe and see. Make sure that these guys are playing well with each other, they're gelling, and then ultimately, hopefully, that carries on into the beginning of the season. And then just see what Tata does, and just hope that he uses the personnel that he has and puts them in a position to succeed. And that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, and I'm hopeful that we'll start to see. This is again almost halfway through through the preseason. These last few games, because we got 6 or 7. I forgot.
I think it's
Okay.
7.
7,
And
yeah.
we've had 3. We have one more game in we have another game against Nasser,
Yeah.
and then we have the game in China.
Mm-hmm.
One more game in between, and then Newell Boys. So there's one more game in between, I think.
Yeah.
But I think those 2 are home games.
Yeah. So so these will be the games where we start to kind of see more of what the beginning of the season will look like.
Yeah.
These first 3 we're testing out practice. Now this is practice. So
100%. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And by the end of the preseason, if we're having this in 2 weeks from now, if we're doing this podcast, then it's still a back 5 and we're not seeing goals and things are still not gelling, then the conversation will shift, but we'll give it a chance. And we'll go. But at least what we can say without a doubt is from El Salvador to Dallas to now, we're seeing maybe an improvement, quote unquote, in players. I don't know, but we're seeing at least more excitement, and you're seeing that they're getting their steps in, they're getting their legs moving. You're starting to see more action. You're starting to see more cohesion. You already are starting to see Messi not wanting to come out. You're seeing everything that we want to see. You saw Suarez get a goal. And so we'll see. It'll be exciting. We're really excited for Thursday. Like we said, I really hope Ronaldo can play. I think the soccer world and just sports fans in general deserve to see them say goodbye to each other officially one more time as 2 of the best to ever do it, who played on this stage for over 15 years, mano y mano. I think it'll be really great to see. So fingers crossed. And also fingers crossed we get, better play, better formation, more fluidity. I really don't think we care if we win or not. I think we care that we start to see the right game, the right players, the right passes. But yeah, it's getting fun. I'm already excited to be back in the swing of things. I'm already getting angry during a game, which means that, soccer's back, sports are back.
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking forward to the next game, and just excited for the season to start already. Let's get past this preseason, but let's get in good preseason form. And like we talked about it in the last
I think the title of the video has to be, you talking about preseason?
You talking about preseason. That's actually a great title. That's actually a great title for sure. But what was I gonna say? I don't even, whatever, probably wasn't important. But the whole point, I think, is that this is the first we're seeing this team for the first time have a whole preseason, and that's important. They
totally,
again, last season they went into a crazy chaotic mid-season, new coach, new players, new everything. I'm just glad to have these boys all together,
totally,
and have a full preseason under their belt, and hopefully this makes us a better team for it.
We have a lot of games, a lot of competitions, a lot more to come. This is really just scratching the surface. Thank you for listening or watching another episode of Messi and Co. Once again, I'm Ashley. That is Gian. We will be back toward the end of the week to hopefully recap an awesome match one last time of Messi and Ronaldo. So thank you. Let us know what you think, and have a good night.